Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today we are looking at the health of the engine in this car. For those who haven't seen, this is my new Range Rover Vogue, the L405. And in the last video, I did a little bit about how this engine has a bit of a reputation for breaking crankshafts. Anybody who knows their Range Rovers, in particular the L405 or the 3-litre V6 diesel lump, will know that these have a habit of snapping crankshafts. Yes, you heard that correctly. This is the 3-litre turbo diesel V6 engine, and in 0.8% of engines there has been a reporting of crankshaft failure. Now, as we touched on in the last video, you don't have to have an intricate knowledge of cars to know that a snapped crankshaft is not ideal. So what can we do to try and understand the health of the crankshaft in this car? Well, let me tell you. I've bought myself an oil analysis kit, I suppose it is. Yeah, oil analysis. And what you do is you take a small sample and you send it off. There's a little pot in here. We're going to fill it up with a sample of oil out of that engine. It goes off to a lab and some science buffs analyse the oil. And they look at things like the metal particulate count, if there's anything in that oil there shouldn't be, if it's diluted with fuel, and it gives you a good idea into the health of the car. I suppose you could probably think of it like a blood test for your car. So what I need to do is extract a small amount of oil, get it into that pot, get it posted off to the lab, and have those buffs have a look at it. So if you're not already, please do hit that sub button down below, stay tuned, and let's see how we get on. So I need to get some oil out of that car. Now I could jack it up and I could take the sump plug out, do a whole oil change, take out a small sample and send that off for analysis, or I can use an oil extractor. So what this does is it goes onto a small tube in the filler neck of the oil and it extracts it via vacuum from a tube that goes all the way down to the sump. So we're going to give that a go. I'm going to get the air compressor fired up, get this plugged on, and let's see how much of a mess we can make. So we're under the bonnet. This is what we're looking for here. Quarter turn, off it comes. That is an extraction tube for the oil. So what we're going to do, we're going to get this hose on the extractor onto there. We're going to get the air compressor onto the extractor tool, and we're going to suck out just enough oil to put into our sample. So let's get that done. So I've got this all hooked up. The tube is on the extraction tube. I've got my air compressor on, so I'm just going to open this valve and hopefully we should see some oil coming up here. Now I'm just going to disconnect this. So as you can see, it's pulled it up. We're not doing a full oil change. I don't need to extract all of the oil out of the engine. All I need is enough for a sample to send off. So I'm going to try if I can release the vacuum out of this, let the oil out of this breather neck without spilling anything that's in the tube, and then I need to get what's in here into my little sample bottle. This is where it's going to get quite messy, I should imagine. What I'm going to do, I'm going to hook that there. I'm just going to leave that to drain because I don't want to create a load of mess with that draining back in. Let's take out our sample out of here and let's get it in that tub. So I've got my little tub. Now I need to siphon what's in here into there without spilling it everywhere. So let's see how this goes. Splendid. I'm just going to pop what's left back into the engine, hopefully without spilling it everywhere. This is a recipe for disaster, isn't it? That could have gone a lot worse. So I've got my oil sample. I need to pop it in this postage tube and then fill out this form, put it in the prepaid envelope, and then send it off to the boffs in the lab to take a look at it. Now on this form it's got things such as the type of oil, engine, gearbox, differential, you know, what type of oil is it, the mileage of the car, the anticipated mileage of the oil, and then any contact details that they need to send the results to. So let me get this packaged up, let's pop it in the post, and then we've got a bit of a waiting game.
1 week later.
So I'm pretty impressed with that turnaround time. I've had an email back with the outcome of that analysis that they've undertaken in the lab. I think all told, from me posting it off on a 24-hour courier, I had the response in 5 working days, which is pretty good considering it's got to make its way to this company. But also then they have to analyse the oil, create the report and send it back to me. So let's have a quick look at what they've sent across. So first and foremost, we're greeted with a big green tick at the top, which is nice to see, where it says oil condition, and then it's got that big green tick. So straight away, that's telling me I've got a good news story. And then as you start reading down the report, you can see what wear metals are present in your oil. Now, to me, this didn't mean a lot. I'm not really a chemist or a science buff, but luckily on the second page, they give you a full breakdown of what each of these bits are. So let's have a look. Straight away, we can see that we've got B is the first bit on the graph with some results there. Now, for anyone who knows their periodic elements, you'll probably know that that's boron. I'm not too clued up on my periodic table, so I've had to use the table they put down below. And what it tells you is that could be things from additives, so fuel additives or oil additives, coolant leaks, bit of coolant in your oil, or brake fluid contamination, which I guess would be from part of maybe the vacuum pump that drives the brakes, but a tiny amount of that is not a cause for concern. Now the next one we come on to is Fe, which I do know this one, that one is iron. So when you look down here and you look at what Fe could be, that makes sense because it's telling you it's cylinder liners, rings, gears, crankshaft, camshaft, pretty much anything that the engine's made up of. And we need to remember that these are sort of tolerance fit metals that are all put together within thousandths of an inch, and that oil is lubricating them. So again, that falls within a tolerable range. Moving on, we move on to, now I've got to try and pronounce this one, molybdenum. I think I've said that right, which is ring plating, lube additive or coolant inhibitor. And again, not a reason to be concerned with the quantity of that. And then the final one is a bit of silicon, which according to this cheat guide down the bottom here, could be dirt, could be seals and sealants, coolant inhibitor or lube additive. So all things that, again, you find in an engine. That could be additives into the oil. It could even be things like crankshaft seals, camshaft seals, all of that. So all of these are falling to within a tolerable level, which is great news because if you remember, the reason I was doing this is because these engines have a habit of snapping crankshafts. Now, I'm not going to bore you all with the science as to why that is, but the short answer is oil deprivation causing adverse wear to the crankshaft. And you don't have to be a mechanic to know adverse wear to your crankshaft is not a good thing, but the output of this report gives me a huge element of confidence that I'm not seeing these problems yet. So, well worth the 40 odd pounds that cost. This video is in no way sponsored by this company, although if you are watching and you want to do something in the future, get in touch. And I'll probably be doing something similar on the F-Type in the near future, just to try and give myself that added reassurance that everything is as it should be and happy, and there's nothing happening behind the scenes that I'm not aware of. So we've passed the health check. We can motor on in peace of mind that nothing is going awry within that engine. But that's it for another video. If you haven't already, please do sub by hitting that button down below. I do appreciate all the support the channel gets, and I'll get around to responding to as many of those comments as I can. Have a great week, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. molybdenum, 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 molybdenum. I've got no idea. That just rolls off the tongue so badly. It doesn't hit the ear right at all, does it? Molybdenum. It sounds like I'm speaking an alien language. I promise I'm not thick.